Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you another episode in the emotional love story of Hoai Ca and Hung. After all the misunderstandings and pain, it seemed like they could finally find peace together, but the unexpected return of Hung's mother once again turns everything upside down. Will her return bring true remorse, or mark the beginning of another storm? Make sure to watch the video until the end to see what Hung's mother does next. And don't forget to leave a comment to share your thoughts. Hit like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next touching chapters of this story. The morning after the rain, the sky was a clear, endless blue. Thin wisps of clouds drifted lazily in the distance. The first sunlight of the day slipped through the tangerine leaves, scattering golden streaks across the damp ground, where tiny droplets of dew shimmered like glass. The air carried the faint scent of earth, wild grass, and a trace of sweetness from ripe tangerines swaying in the breeze. Hoai Ca stopped at the gate, her fingers brushing the cold iron latch. The old gate creaked open, that sound echoed across the empty yard, tugging softly at her heart. Everything looked the same as the day she left, the steps covered in dry leaves, the vines drooping sparsely before the porch, and her mother's old slippers still resting neatly in the corner. Only one thing was missing: no one stood waiting for her at the doorway anymore. She placed her bag on the stone bench and looked around. Everything felt so familiar, yet strangely distant. The flower pots by the yard were cracked and dry, the herbs along the fence had turned yellow. She bent down, gently plucking the weeds growing between the bricks, listening to the soft rustle of wind sweeping across the tin roof, mingled with the faint crow of a rooster somewhere far away. A moment later, she walked to the tangerine grove. This year, the trees were heavier with fruit than ever, each one glowing gold beneath the sun. She lifted her gaze, watching the light filter through the interlaced leaves, painting her face with scattered patches of shadow and warmth. Taking a deep breath, she reached up, plucked one, and peeled it. The thin skin released a sweet, fragrant aroma that filled the air. She bit into a segment, the gentle sweetness spread across her tongue. Yet somehow, hidden within that sweetness, was a quiet emptiness that stung her heart. She sat on a small stool beneath the tree, her eyes drifting toward the fields at the edge of the garden. The whole neighborhood seemed peaceful, only her house remained silent. She picked up her phone, dialed her mother's number. The tone rang out, then stopped. The screen lit up briefly before going dark again. She pressed her lips together and sighed softly. "I wonder where she went. Maybe she's out selling sweet potatoes at the market again," she murmured to herself. The wind swept through the garden, carrying the scent of freshly cut grass and twirling a few fallen leaves across the porch. Children's laughter echoed faintly in the distance. A dog barked, then went quiet, leaving only stillness behind. Only the sound of Hoai Ca's heart remained, a quiet ache of loneliness whispering through each breath. She stood motionless in the middle of the yard, her eyes fixed on the long row of tangerine trees at the far end. Sunlight poured down, casting her shadow in a pale golden hue, warm, yet somehow cold. Whether it was the wind or the hollow space in her chest, she couldn't tell. But in that moment, she felt as if everything around her was slowly fading away. Until all that was left was herself, small and alone, in the gentle, aching stillness. The sound of a motorbike echoed from afar, faint at first, then gradually clearer, blending into the quiet hum of the midday air. The dirt road in front of the gate shimmered under the sun, dust rising in small clouds with each turn of the wheel. The engine slowed, then stopped completely. A brief silence followed, and then came the sound of familiar footsteps on the brick path. Hoai Ca looked up. Through the blinding sunlight, the silhouette of a man slowly came into view, tall, lean, his old jacket stained with the dust of the road. His hands still smelled faintly of fuel, his tanned face marked by exhaustion. She recognized him immediately. It was Tieu, the man who once shared this home with her, and the biological father of Tony. He gave a small nod, said nothing, and stepped into the yard. The iron gate closed behind him with a soft creak, a sound that carried memories of the past. The whole yard fell silent, save for the rustle of tangerine leaves swaying gently in the wind. Tieu placed his helmet on the old wooden table under the porch. The table's surface was scratched and faded, silent proof of the difficult years they had once endured together. She stood still for a moment before pulling out a chair across from him. The distance between them was short, yet it felt like something invisible and heavy stood in between, cold and suffocating. Hoai Ca poured him a glass of water. The soft trickle echoed clearly, but neither of them spoke. Sunlight filtered through the tangerine branches, painting streaks of gold across Tieu's weary face. He glanced around, awkward, his eyes reflecting a mix of hesitation and quiet sorrow. His voice was hoarse, uncertain. "I heard from Hum that Tony still hasn't spoken. I'm worried. No matter what, he's still my son." Hoai Ca looked at him for a long moment. There was no anger left in her eyes, only a thin veil of nostalgia for something long gone. Her voice was calm but firm. "Everything's being taken care of. Hung and I can handle it. You don't have to worry." Silence returned. The wind whispered through the tin roof. A loose strand of her hair danced in the sunlight, brushing her cheek, glowing faintly pink. Tieu lowered his head, his rough fingers nervously rubbing against the weathered table surface. After a while, he sighed. From his jacket, he pulled out a neatly folded stack of money and placed it on the table. "I know it's been hard for you. I wasn't here to help, so at least let me contribute something for our son." She stared at the money for a long time. Not because of its amount, but because of the strange distance between two people who once shared everything, now talking like strangers. She gently pushed part of it back toward him. "Keep the rest. I'll take just enough for Tony's medicine. You should take care of yourself." Tieu smiled faintly, a small, bitter smile. He said nothing, only turned his gaze toward the garden, where the wind stirred the branches heavy with fruit. Time passed quietly. They sat together, talking about Tony, his therapy sessions, his kind speech teacher, his love for water, cartoons, and the way he giggled whenever he heard music. Their conversation came and went, gentle and broken, yet every word carried genuine care for the child they both loved. Tieu spoke softly. "Don't pressure him too much. Let him be happy. One day, he'll speak when he's ready." She nodded, her eyes softening. "I think so too. As long as he's happy and healthy, that's enough." Silence again. And within that silence, old memories stirred, no longer angry or bitter, just faint and wistful, like ashes left after a long extinguished flame. The sunlight outside faded slowly, stretching their shadows across the worn brick floor. On the table, Tieu's glass of water sat untouched, the surface still, reflecting the dimming afternoon sky. From the tangerine grove, the wind rose once more, leaves rustling softly, as if whispering the untold story of two people who once shared a life. Now sitting together again, bound only by silence and all the things left unsaid. Late in the afternoon, the sun slowly dipped behind the line of bamboo at the end of the village, leaving streaks of golden light stretching across the dusty road. Chickens clucked as they made their way back to their coops, children's laughter echoed faintly from afar, blending with the soft scent of smoke rising from someone's kitchen preparing the evening meal. The front gate creaked open. Hoai Ca turned around. Her mother had returned. She wore her conical hat slightly tilted, carrying a basket of sweet potatoes still clinging with soil. Sweat dotted her forehead, yet her eyes shone with warmth and quiet joy. Seeing her daughter waiting in the yard, she smiled. "Staying home all day gets boring, so I went to dig up a few sweet potatoes to sell. They sold out quickly at the market," she said, her tone cheerful. Hoai Ca stepped forward, taking the basket from her hands. "You should rest a bit, Mom. The sun's been harsh lately," she said softly. Her mother just smiled, that gentle, forgiving smile so familiar to the countryside. The two sat together on the porch, cleaning each sweet potato, brushing off the dirt still clinging to their skin. The sound of the tubers rolling in the basket, clack, clack, filled the space with a homely warmth. The scent of fresh soil, sweat, and wood smoke mingled in the air, the unmistakable fragrance of home, of peace, of a late rural afternoon. Hoai Ca lit the stove. The fire caught quickly, the wood crackled merrily as the smoke curled upward, carrying the faint sweetness of dried straw. Her mother helped peel the potatoes, slicing them thin before dropping them into the pan of sizzling oil. Each slice turned golden brown, the bubbling sound filling the small kitchen with simple happiness. Soon, the aroma spread through the room, spilling out into the open yard. They sat together on the porch, sharing a plate of freshly fried sweet potatoes. The evening breeze drifted by, carrying the light fragrance of tangerine blossoms. Her mother chewed thoughtfully, eyes gleaming with quiet contentment. "These are extra tender this season, crispier than before. The soil must be better now," she said. Hoai Ca smiled, biting into a piece, the sweetness melted gently on her tongue. Her voice came out soft, careful not to disturb the tender peace of the moment. "Tony's been improving, Mom. He's not scared of his teacher anymore. Yesterday he even smiled when she taught him to speak." Her mother's eyes glistened. Setting her chopsticks down, she spoke, her voice trembling. "If you get the weekend off, bring him home. I miss him so much. Every day I look out at the gate, just hoping to hear him call me Grandma once." Hoai Ca's throat tightened. She couldn't speak, only nodded, eyes warm with emotion. The fire still burned in the stove, casting a soft orange glow across their faces, gentle and kind, like the love shared between generations. Outside, the wind sighed through the porch, rustling a few tangerine leaves that drifted onto the old brick floor. In the little kitchen, the golden scent of fried sweet potatoes lingered, wrapping around the laughter of mother and daughter. A simple sound, yet somehow, profoundly warm. The next morning, a light mist still lingered among the tangerine trees. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the scent of damp earth and faint smoke from early kitchen fires drifting through the garden paths. Her mother had been up since dawn. She carried 2 large baskets of sweet potatoes balanced skillfully on a bamboo pole, walking slowly down the small village path. That slender figure had grown accustomed to early mornings at the market, selling sweet potatoes, chatting with familiar faces, earning a modest living while keeping the loneliness of an empty house at bay. The market moved at its usual gentle rhythm. Voices of vendors, laughter, and chatter mingled with the smells of motorbike smoke, dried fish, and freshly steamed sticky rice. She sat in her usual corner beside an old wooden table, sorting through the potatoes and smiling kindly at her regular customers. Every so often, she looked toward the entrance of the market, where the morning light poured down over the stalls. If only Tony were here, he'd love these sweet potatoes, she thought to herself, a tender smile flickering across her lips, filled with both love and longing. By afternoon, the sky turned a soft golden hue. A light breeze blew from the distant fields, carrying the scent of ripened rice. She gathered her empty baskets, counted a few crumpled bills, and pedaled home leisurely. The familiar village road wound around the tangerine grove, the sunlight shimmering across the dirt path, glinting off the silver strands in her hair. The soft rattle of her bicycle wheels and the chirping of crickets blended together into a gentle country melody at day's end. But as she neared the gate, she stopped abruptly. A lone figure stood silently in front of the house. The slanted afternoon light stretched the stranger's shadow long across the yard, thin, frail, and strangely desolate. It was a woman, small in stature, slightly stooped. Her clothes were worn and dusty at the hems, her shoes smeared with mud. Her dark hair, streaked with gray, was tied neatly behind her head. Her face was pale and tired, but her eyes were deep, the eyes of someone who had endured many weary years, carrying guilt, regret, and an unspoken longing. The mother stopped her bike. Her chest tightened, something felt off. The woman stood still, hands clasped tightly, as if mustering the courage to speak. After a moment, she lifted her head, her voice trembling but clear. "Excuse me. I'd like to see Hoai Ca." The air seemed to freeze. Hoai Ca's foster mother looked at her suspiciously, her tone firm but calm. "Who are you?" The woman fell silent for a few seconds. Her gaze flickered, then she replied softly, each word slow and heavy. "I am Hung's biological mother." A gust of wind swept through. Tangerine leaves fluttered down onto the porch, rustling faintly like the ticking of time. The last rays of sunlight dimmed, leaving only faint glimmers that fell across two faces, one startled, the other shadowed by sorrow. The foster mother stood still for a long time. Her heart tightened as memories surged. The nights when Hoai Ca cried herself to sleep over Hung. The days she sat on the porch, waiting, holding her child, hoping for news. She had believed those storms were long gone, yet here, before her, stood the woman whose very name reopened all those wounds. Taking a deep breath, she finally spoke, her voice calm but cautious. "Come inside. The wind's strong out here." The woman nodded, stepping slowly through the gate. The soft scrape of her sandals against the brick path was faint but heavy. The foster mother wheeled her bicycle to the corner and led the way in. Inside, the dim light of an oil lamp flickered against the patched walls. The foster mother poured a cup of warm water and placed it on the table between them. They sat facing each other, one guarded, the other uneasy. Neither spoke. Only the ticking of the clock and the whisper of wind through the door broke the silence. The air thickened with tension. Between them lay a strange distance, unfamiliar, yet filled with something old and unresolved. Their eyes met once, then quickly turned away. No words had been exchanged, but the heaviness of unspoken truths already filled the room. From the back, the faint scent of burnt firewood lingered. A kitten meowed softly outside, then went quiet. Time itself seemed to pause, leaving only two breaths, two hearts, and one name hanging in the air. Hoai Ca. The next morning, the mist still hung low over the tangerine grove. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of damp soil and early cooking fires drifting through the narrow village paths. Her mother had been up before sunrise, as always. She balanced two baskets of sweet potatoes across her shoulders, heading to the market, a routine she had followed for years. Selling, chatting with familiar faces, sharing small laughter amid the quiet rhythm of a simple life. By late afternoon, the sunlight had faded into a soft amber glow. She packed her empty baskets, counted the few small bills she had earned, and pedaled slowly home. The dirt path turned orange in the dimming light, and the chirping of crickets echoed gently from the grass along both sides of the road. As she neared the gate, she stopped suddenly. A thin figure stood motionless in front of the house. The woman wore a long, faded coat, her hair was neatly tied, shoes stained with mud. Her face looked weary and pale, but her eyes carried something deep, a mix of guilt, sorrow, and desperate pleading. The mother paused, her hands tightening on the bicycle handles. A strange unease crept into her chest. The woman turned slowly toward her, speaking in a hoarse, trembling voice. "Excuse me. I'd like to see Hoai Ca." The foster mother hesitated, gripping the basket strap more tightly. "And you are?" she asked cautiously, her tone wary. The stranger faltered for a moment, then replied, each word quiet yet firm. "I'm Hung's biological mother." The air seemed to freeze. The wind rustled through the tangerine trees, scattering yellow leaves across the porch. The last sunlight slanted through the roof tiles, casting soft gold across two faces, one stunned, the other heavy with remorse. The foster mother stood silent for a long while. Memories flickered through her mind, the nights when Hoai Ca wept endlessly, the days she sat by the porch with her child, waiting for news of Hung. She had believed those storms had long passed, yet here was the woman whose return reopened every wound. Taking a slow, steady breath, she finally said, her tone calm but cautious. "Come inside. It's cold out here." The woman nodded and stepped through the gate. The soft scuff of her sandals against the brick sounded faint, but unbearably heavy. Inside, the foster mother tidied the table and poured a cup of warm water, setting it down gently. Neither spoke. The small house seemed to shrink around them, filled only with the ticking of the clock and the faint trace of smoke left from the midday fire. The woman sat still for a long time, her trembling hands clasped tightly together. The clock ticked steadily, each beat pressing deeper into the thick silence. Finally, she drew a deep breath and exhaled shakily, her voice rough, thick with emotion. "I know I was wrong. I left for half a year, leaving debts and misery behind for my son. I couldn't bear to face anyone, but now, I just want to buy back the old house, to say I'm sorry, and to ask for forgiveness." Her voice broke, uneven between gasps. Every word seemed torn from the deepest corners of her heart, heavy with regret, guilt, and exhaustion. The flickering oil lamp cast a trembling light across her face. Tears rolled down her cheeks, landing on the worn wooden table, soaking into the cracks, as though even time itself had been waiting for this moment of repentance. She lowered her head, voice barely above a whisper, tired but sincere. "I haven't had the courage to face Hung yet. Not until I can buy the house back. Only then will I dare to look him in the eye." Her words fell into the quiet like pebbles into still water. Outside, the wind brushed against the roof tiles, soft but unrelenting. Across from her, Hoai Ca's foster mother sat silently, hands clasped in her lap. Her expression softened, a mix of compassion and deep reflection. She looked at the fragile woman before her, shoulders trembling, eyes red and wet, her whole frame shivering with the effort to hold herself together. After a pause, she spoke, her voice low and steady, like a gentle truth passed down through the years. "Everyone makes mistakes. But not everyone has the courage to return. If your regret is real, then it's not too late to make things right." The woman looked up, eyes brimming. The yellow lamplight shimmered in her gaze, flickering like a dying flame that still refused to go out. She rose shakily, reaching across the table to hold the older woman's hand. "Please, don't tell Hung I've come back yet. He might not want to see me. I'll come again this weekend." The foster mother nodded gently, saying nothing more. Her eyes followed the woman as she turned and walked toward the door. The soft scrape of her sandals echoed once more on the brick floor. The wooden door creaked open, then closed quietly behind her. Outside, the evening wind grew stronger, carrying the scent of soil and smoke through the fading light of dusk. The foster mother sat for a long time afterward, her eyes fixed on the cup of warm water still untouched on the table, the one the visitor never drank. Inside her chest stirred a strange feeling, part sympathy, part unease, and an unshakable sense that this encounter was only the beginning of something far larger to come. As the woman's figure slowly disappeared behind the tangerine fence, her footsteps faded into the whisper of the evening breeze. The little house fell silent once more. Only the soft whine through the roof tiles and the sound of tangerine leaves falling across the yard remained, like the quiet sighs of time itself. The foster mother sat by the doorway, her gaze distant, watching the garden bathed in the golden light of dusk. The branches swayed gently, a few aged leaves spiraling down before resting on the damp brick floor. She murmured softly to herself, her voice melting into the wind. "I wonder if she's truly sorry. I just hope this time, everyone can find peace." She sighed, her hand tightening around her sleeve. The house was still, yet within that silence something seemed to stir. The faint beginning of another story, another turning of fate. The evening breeze swept through again, carrying the sweet scent of ripe tangerines. The leaves rustled softly, whispering secrets too quiet to hear. Perhaps the sound of forgiveness, of old wounds slowly healing. A new chapter was about to unfold. One where the past, mistakes, and compassion would finally face one another. Stay tuned for the next episode. When Hung returns, will he have the strength to forgive the mother who once broke his heart? If this story touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next episode of this emotional journey.
Quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người video về câu chuyện của Lý Hoai Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Mọi người thân mến, thì như mọi người cũng đã biết thì Hùng và Hoai Ca thì đã bên nhau một khoảng thời gian khá là lâu rồi, và cả hai người thì trước kia mẹ Hùng rất là ngăn cấm. Và trước kia mẹ của Hùng còn có thời gian là hãm hại Hoai Ca xin mất mạng, và sau đó thì đã bỏ đi một thời gian, mang theo một đống tiền để lại cho Hùng một khoản nợ rất lớn. Còn bây giờ thì bà ta đã quay trở về và bà ta đang tìm gặp Hoai Ca. Không biết bà ta tìm gặp Hoai Ca với mục đích gì, nhưng mà hôm nay bà ta tìm gặp Hoai Ca thì Hoai Ca lại về rồi, nhưng mà lại đang đi chợ bán đồ nên là chỉ có thể gặp mẹ Hà và nhắn lại với mẹ Hà. Vậy thì liệu mà chuyện tiếp theo sẽ ra sao? Hãy đón xem tập sau nhé mọi người. Tạm biệt mọi người.